This is Healthy Life Designing. Joining me, our guests, Rae and Baylee Pryjda, are here talking about anorexia. Such a crazy sensitive topic. Where did this all begin for you? I guess I'll start with you, Mom.
Baylee was about 10 years old and she had hit a growth spurt. And shortly after that, volleyball season started. Mm-hmm. And she was in volleyball and she was increasing her activity level a little bit. She had noticed in July or August that she had lost a little bit of weight. Mm-hmm. And adults had commented that she was thinning out, getting taller, making comments about her appearance. She kind of got addicted to those comments and took interest into exercising more, wanting to diet, wanting to eat healthier. I just kind of went with it. You know, she's a preteen wanting to eat healthier. Let's go with it. Mm-hmm. Shortly after, I recognized that it may have been, she was pushing it a little bit too far. She was skipping breakfast. I wasn't aware that she was skipping lunch at school at that time. At dinner, she would have smaller portions. She may skip dinner altogether and just say she wasn't hungry. This was about September or October, and she turned 11. And I think for her, that's when it really hit her hard. And she was weighing herself consistently all day, every time she went to the restroom, every time she ate or drank anything. And it was about November when she would weigh herself after a bottle of water. And she would see that the weight would increase, so she started restricting fluid at that time.
Okay.
It was towards the end of December, I had counted the water bottles in the refrigerator, and she had told me she took a bottle of water to school, and that's what she had for lunch. But the number was off. She did not take anything to school that day. So I had caught her, kind of in that situation. And I asked her, I said, are you restricting your food? And she denied it, got very upset with me. And that was the end of that conversation. I had it in the back of my mind that, something was going on. And in November, she had her 11-year checkup, and she had a weight loss then also. So Christmas break came. We just struggled to get through it the best that we could. I knew something was going on. She wasn't talking to me, wasn't admitting anything to me. So it was at the Christmas Day, she had tried on clothes that I had bought her the month previously, and they did not fit her. And I questioned her again then, and she said that, I must have just gotten taller and not to worry about it. Everything was okay. Mm-hmm. She went back to school in January and came home, I think that day, and she broke down at the table with me and said, I have been restricting my food. I can't stop. First, it started out as a game, and then it became an addiction. So that evening, it was like 5 or 5:30, I called the pediatrician immediately, and I said, this is what's going on. What do we do? And she said, bring her in tomorrow morning. And we did, and she had lost even more weight since November. And we were told to remove the scales from the house. She had to go on supplemental Boost or Ensure,
right?
Which I found out later that she was pouring down the drain.
Oh.
She did not hide anything.
Not at this point.
Very angry.
She was mad. She did not speak to me for 3 days when I took the scales out of the house. And at this point, she was not even trying to hide it. I would leave the Boost on the table because we were not speaking. And when she left to get on the school bus, there would be in the sink. She wasn't even trying to rinse it down the drain.
No, because she's mad at you now.
So mad.
Mm-hmm.
We got a referral to adolescent medicine at Children's, and it was over a month wait to get in. And during that time, she had a crisis situation. We had to go to Children's for her to be evaluated. And she opened up a lot with them. And I realized then, I didn't even know up until that point how severe it was. Mm-hmm. When she had opened up with them and was talking with them about how bad it was, that's when I realized that we were in a in a really bad place, and I wasn't fixing this.
So Baylee, what can you talk about, everything your mom just mentioned? What was going through your mind when all of these things were going on?
I was very upset because I did not see a problem, and I thought that it was healthy, because I feel like there is a stigma that that's okay and that you want to be skinny and that you want to look as if you're sick.
So did you feel pressure a lot at school to look a certain way? Like, did you find yourself, were you on social media a lot? Were you looking at magazines? Like, where do you remember, like, when you first started to feel that way?
It was at school a lot, and like when people commented on, like, I lost a lot of weight and people commented on it, and I really liked it. And like it kind of fed into the eating disorder.
Okay. So did your friends say something, like when you guys would all sit at school at lunch, I'm assuming you sit with all of your friends.
Mm-hmm.
Were they saying things to you? Did they notice that you weren't eating as much?
They did. Yeah, they did say things, and I got angry at them as well. Like, I was very upset.
So then did that make you isolate yourself?
Yeah.
Okay. And then what happens next?
The weight. We didn't talk a lot the whole month of February.
Mm-hmm.
I did the best that I could to keep her basically out of an emergency situation.
Mm-hmm.
She was instructed that if she got dizzy, she had to go to the emergency room. We later found out that she was dizzy almost every day.
Oh my gosh.
She was very tired. She slept a lot. Her grades, she kept her grades up. She kept that going well. And I think that fed into the anorexia, where she didn't want anybody to know.
Right.
So her perfectionism stayed.
Yes.
So we finally saw the eating clinic at Adolescent Medicine in late February. And we were there, it was about a 5-hour appointment. It was very stressful. Just opening up everything. I had put so much blame on myself.
Right.
Because her and I are very close, and I didn't see it. And I let it get too far. They wanted to make her partial inpatient treatment. They have 3 different treatments at Children's, and they wanted her to do partial inpatient, but because of her age, she was not able to do that. So we did family-based therapy. She met with a nutritionist once a week, therapist once a week, and then she followed up with the adolescent medicine doctor every month. And we had tallied it up, and between February 26th and today, we have 43 appointments back and forth to Children's.
So what has that been like so I want to ask you too, what was going through your mind in the very beginning process of all this? Because I can't even imagine, because you're still trying to function everyday living, but know that you have this very critical situation.
Honestly, I don't remember the past year.
It's a blur.
It's a blur. And her and I will talk about things, and we'll be like, oh yeah, we remember that happened. Mm-hmm. Or I don't remember seeing like the seasons change driving back and forth to Columbus.
Yes.
And I have 2 other little kids at home, mm-hmm. and her meal plan was strenuous. I took full responsibility of all of her meals. I told her when to wake up. I told her when to go to sleep. I told her when to eat. I told her when to drink. And she had to continue that at school. So our grocery bill almost tripled because she had to eat. Right. So, the meal plan, mm-hmm. It's a large meal plan, and it was scary. Plus, because she was refeeding her body and refueling it, she was feeling terrible. Her stomach was hurting. She was having the, restroom issues, mm-hmm. and the anorexia fed off of that. And in her mind, her anorexia was telling her, the food is making you sick. Stop eating. This is, and I don't think you have ever avoided a meal at that time. The school was exceptional with making sure that she was eating what she was supposed to and when she was supposed to there. Mm-hmm. I cannot thank the school enough for how well they handled the situation, and they were very on top of things. But it was very stressful, and I guess we just went day by day, and she continued to improve rapidly.
In my head, if I got through this, then I could just go back. Because I didn't realize that my mindset would change. I thought that if I followed every rule that I would get out of it.
You get through this part and then you can do whatever.
Yeah.
There's a stigma with treatment. A lot of people don't realize that anorexia is a mental illness, and we had to separate her from her eating disorder down to where it had its own name, and we called her anorexia Annie. And as a parent, I had to distinguish what was Baylee and what was Annie, because there were hurtful things that she said, there were hurtful things that she did. And when we separated that, I knew in my heart that Baylee would not choose this, Annie was. And she had to do the same thing with her eating disorder thoughts. Baylee is not choosing to do this, her anorexia is. And there's a mass stigma, after I've talked to parents all across the world, that feeding a child with anorexia is the best treatment. You have to fuel their body. You have to get their mind right. And Baylee admitted to me about 6 months in that because I said, it seemed to go very easy for us. And I asked her, I said, why didn't you just eat before? And she admitted, she said, I just planned on following your rules. Eventually they would stop and I would go back. And it was about 6 or 7 months in her mind before she realized that there was no going back, that she was okay.
And you even mentioned, you and I, when we were on the phone, that this has affected another one of your children.
Yeah, I have, at the time she was 6, 7 years old, and she would see the stress that I was having, and I had to take so much time, and put it towards Baylee, which at the time we just did what we had to do, and I would have done anything for either one of my children at the time. But she didn't want to lose her sister, and that's all that she knew at that time was, if my sister does not eat, she's going to die. So there was a lot of anxiety and stuff that was put on her, and she, after we got through the deep part of the treatment, I was able to reach out and get her help also. And so it affected our whole family. For us, with it being family-based therapy, which personally I feel is the only treatment that works. And
well, true, because you need all of the support you can get for one.
Yes.
And if people don't understand it, it's hard for them to support it.
And we had to separate ourselves from so many people. We had to separate ourselves from really good friends, from really good close family, because if they didn't get it, I couldn't put Baylee in that situation.
Right.
So, but yeah, I mean, it's affected the whole family. It's affected her friendship circle, and but we're here.
Well, yeah, and I'm sure you've grown so much. We're going to get more into it. We're going to take a quick break, and when we do, we're going to kind of talk about the other side of things and some of the good things that have come from it, but what you've also had to encounter along the way. More with Rae and her daughter Baylee when we come back.
Hi, I'm Brandon. I'm a recovering addict. For 10 of the last 11 years, I've been struggling with addiction, homelessness, incarceration, and just loneliness. However, since getting clean this past year, I've accomplished more than I have in those 10 years combined. After attending outpatient counseling services, inpatient counseling services, living in a sober living house, and attending 12-step meetings, I've been able to regain control of my life and begin to achieve goals I've always dreamed of. Addiction can destroy lives in many ways. Whether you need help with childcare or financial assistance, everyone deserves a new beginning. Recovery supports are just that, supports for recovery. My life mattered. Your life matters too.
This message is brought to you by the Fairfield County Adam H. Board.
Dagger Law has been part of the Lancaster community for more than 110 years. This is where we live and work. You'll see us at festivals, sporting events, and all around town. We consider our clients as friends, and we walk alongside you through challenging times. Whether you're a growing business, a changing family, facing litigation, planning your future, or dealing with land issues, we're right here. We are local. We are trusted. We are experienced. Dagger Law.
Hey guys, we're back. Earlier in the show, we've been talking about anorexia, what it's been like for Rae and her daughter Baylee and their whole family as a whole. And during the break, we were talking a little bit about what it was like for you when you looked in the mirror. And also a little bit about your physical appearance, the color of your skin. Can you talk about that?
I did lose my skin color. Like, I was very pale, and to myself, I did not see a problem. So I did not see I didn't see how much weight I had lost, and I didn't notice how bad it was until after. And I did think that I was still overweight, even though I was at my lowest weight that I have ever been. And I did see a problem.
And you've had a bunch of different people reach out to you guys, both people that you never would have thought. Can you talk a little bit, like both of you talk about that?
One thing that I commend Baylee for is she was very open about this. The day that she received her diagnosis, I think that night she had posted a post on social media. This is who I am. You like it or you don't, and we're going to go with it.
Which is incredible for how young you are.
And I had mixed thoughts about it. I didn't know if, that would, but for us, it worked very well. We had huge support. But I had a lot of families that messaged me, and, we never thought of this of Baylee. Nobody ever thought that this would come about, with her. So I had a lot of moms tell me, I've talked to my daughter, or I'm concerned, what do I need to do? Mm-hmm. And I think Baylee can talk about her peers at school, how they reached out to you.
Yeah, everybody didn't notice it was as bad as it was. So then after the post on social media and I talked to my friends, they were very supportive, and they always wanted to make sure that I was comfortable. And even their parents, when I went to their house, their parents were constantly making sure that I ate what I was supposed to. They made sure that I took my medicine. They made sure that I had everything. We also had to isolate from a lot of family. Even family was not supportive as they should be. And we did have to separate from a few family members.
I was just going to ask, so where are you right now with all of this?
We're in a good place. We have reached our year mark for treatment. She's not quite in recovery yet. She still struggles with getting her growth curve, keeping that growth curve up. It's important during the puberty stage that parents are aware, and children, that you are meant to gain weight. Mm-hmm. You continue to gain weight until you are well into your adult age. So that's okay. We don't talk about numbers. I think it's important that families do not talk about numbers. You ask your pediatrician to not weigh the child in a way that the child can see that number. You don't talk about it. And we've talked with our pediatrician, and they, have changed some of the ways that they do things.
The whole office has.
Because children should not know their number. Mm-hmm. It's not meant to be known. And if the pediatrician or the parent has a concern, that's something that should be done in private. And we don't talk, it's not appropriate for adults to comment on children, even though you're trying to be helpful.
Yeah, and that's where I want to ask you too. What was that like for you when you would have adults make comments to you? How did that make you feel?
I was, when they did it, I was very happy, and then after I thought about it, sometimes it would make me cry, because I was upset. I felt like I had to have that same body for people to compliment me, so I would never want my weight to change, that exact weight, even up to ounces. I would want that exact weight to be the same.
Wow, that's crazy. I still keep trying to wrap my head all around this, because a year is not a very long time. No. And to go through everything that you went through, and you went through a growth spurt, and you're in middle school, let alone all of these other obstacles. But you were talking earlier about blind weight. Now, what is that?
So we do, the adolescent medicine that she visits, they do blind weights. And that means she has to be weighed frequently when we're up there to ensure that, she is going in the right direction. So they weigh her backwards on the scale. A lot of times the nutritionist will weigh her backwards and then cover it. When we go to the pediatrician's office, she's weighed backwards on the scale. she has to stay on the scale until it's completely cleared. So that way, even if she steps off, she can't, and she has made the decision at this point that she doesn't want to know. And she will probably always blind weight, for the remainder of her life until she feels comfortable with that. And our treatment has went well for her. She has made huge strides and we're going in the right direction. And there will come a time soon where she won't have to worry about this, but she will always have anorexia.
And what type of anorexia does she have?
She has anorexia nervosa.
And how is that different from the other types?
It's different to where she doesn't have the distorted body image so much now as she's just addicted to that number.
Okay.
And they diagnose, there's no lab test for anorexia. They diagnose with a question. We were diagnosed over 5 hours. And it's a mental illness. It's not a choice. She did not choose to do this. It's wrapped up in genetics and biology. And she's a young child. There are younger. And it's proven that the earlier you seek treatment, the better your outcome is. But I always have in the back of my mind as a parent, what do we do at high school when that first major breakup happens? What do we do if she decides to go to college out of town? What do we do when she decides to have a baby? Mm-hmm. So we will always keep in check with somebody at all times in case we don't want to ever have to go another month and a half without help. So we've decided that she will always check in. When that time comes, it'll always be a check-in. And right now she checks in about every 2 weeks.
Okay.
She sees somebody.
Now, I wanted to ask again about the adults that you've encountered. Can you talk about, without using any names, some of the people that have reached out to you and maybe just a tidbit about their situation?
So we've had a lot of people support us and say that our story has helped them. I've had a parent come to me and say, my child's now getting treatment because of this. I've also, Baylee and I are very open. She has come home to me and has talked to me about kids that she sees may not be eating lunch, or kids that have that body image negativity. I have reached out to their parents because I would have loved for a parent or a teacher
yes.
or a child to let me know way before she did.
Me too.
And I'm concerned, where would we be today if she wouldn't have admitted to what she was doing? And I've reached out to parents, and some of them have been great. Others have, that is not my child. There's no weight loss, so it's not a big deal. And anorexia does not have a number.
Right.
You can look very healthy and still have anorexia. You can be obese and overweight and still have anorexia. So it's important that if you see those signs in your children, for us, it was she avoided dinner time. She would even make her little sister sit in front of her. So I was not seeing how she was eating. So those things that we see now, we didn't see then, is important. And if your child, if you see them, I feel like anorexia should be talked about much as drugs and alcohol.
I do too.
You teach your kids not to do drugs and alcohol. You teach them to make good choices. You teach them to make good eating choices also. And we avoid my plate. We avoid the food pyramid. All food is good food in moderation. And, if she wants a cookie, she eats a cookie. If she wants applesauce or fruit, she eats applesauce or fruit.
What else? I know we've talked about a lot of different things, but is there anything else that we haven't talked about that you guys want to share?
It's not that I forgot how to eat, but after I started eating again, it was very hard. So I would eat very fast, and I would get very sick because my body was not used to having this much food intake, and it was a big change.
So what other emotions did you have during this whole time? I mean, you were probably really exhausted. You had to lie a lot to cover up your tracks a lot. What are some things that you could tell other kids your age if they might be experiencing something similar to what you've gone through?
To never feel like it's your fault, because it was not your choice to be like this. There's nothing that you did that could have caused this, and no parents either. It's nothing that a parent could have done to cause this. But it's also important to look for signs, and it's okay to ask your kids. Like, they're not going to be mad at you forever. Like you need to be visible for the signs.
And I think from a parent aspect, it's important that your child trusts you. It's important that your child can come to you and say, you know, I've been restricting my food and I feel like this has become a problem, and you're not going to get mad at them. And they know that you're not going to get mad at them.
Right.
I thank Baylee every single day for coming to me when she did, because we were talking on the way here. I don't know that she was restricting water. She had went 48 plus hours with nothing. And that starts to affect your heart rate. It starts to affect your internal organs.
Well, you can have severe hydration or dehydration.
Yes. And even the short time frame that, you know, she has been suffering from this, she still has to have her labs done. We still have to make sure that vitamins and minerals are where they need to be, and that growth curve continues. And we don't have the stomach issues. I mean, a year later, we're still dealing with that. So, anything else?
Is there anything else that you want to add or share?
Not that I can think of.
Well, I mean, I really just admire you. I mean, when I first talked to your mom, I just couldn't get over the fact of how young and courageous you are. I mean, it makes me want to cry, but at the same time, I'm just like, oh my gosh, if I would have had the courage that you have to do just normal things in the 6th grade, I mean, I probably, who knows what I could have accomplished when I was younger. And, you know, for you getting out there, taking an action, and you guys have to set healthy boundaries as a family now. And, you know, I'm sure that it's brought you even closer together as a family.
Yeah, we're very close. Her and her dad, they hit that, you know, daughter-father riff.
We always said he was like my punching bag.
Yeah, and that's also important that families know that going through treatment, it's tough, it's hard, and somebody needs to be a punching bag, and you just have to...
You got to take turns.
Yeah.
Who's going to be in the next
yes.
bag?
And you have to know that that's anorexia and not the child, and be okay with that. So, and we're an open book. I mean, anybody can reach out to me or Baylee, and, you know, we'll get you where you need to go to get help. Because I didn't know where to turn to. I didn't know where to go. She's 10 years old.
Right.
So we started with the pediatrician, and then we allowed and if the pediatrician wouldn't have seen an issue, then we probably would have just went to the emergency room.
Oh my gosh. Would you care to share your own information where they could reach out to you on
Absolutely.
Facebook? Is that okay?
Yep.
Okay. You can look over there at that camera and just let them know.
So you can reach me at Rae Pryjda at Facebook. It's RAEPRYJDA. My email is rae.baird@yahoo.com, and you can call me or text me 740-584-6079. And it can be all anonymous.
Well, thank you so much. That is all we have today, and we hope to see you soon.